Hello there folks, my name is Ben and welcome to Shots Fired Airsoft. And this is going to be the shooting review of the Armament R18. This is a bit protracted. I have already actually filmed the shooting section of this footage once and didn't really get much out of this pistol. Despite the fact it appeared to be dripping with lube when I originally got it out of the box. If you go back and watch the unboxing video, you'll see how glistening it is. I actually had to go back through this and clean the barrel, re-lube up all the various components, essentially strip it and rebuild it. This is a bit of a weird situation to be in. I've actually got obviously original firing footage, but it was getting to the point where I had to hand rack it to get it to load around, and the whole thing was just seizing up. This is one of those things where when it comes down to performance, a lot of what goes into these pistols to make them good is the quality of the build itself. So it's not uncommon, particularly with Chinese airsoft guns such as this, that actually a lot of your performance is locked behind your ability to strip it, do any work that is required and then rebuild it. Yeah, this came out of a box with a barrel, which this is not uncommon, but that is about my third run through of the barrel. I don't believe I've got my original bit that I used. It was pretty much totally black. We now have a nice clean barrel. The other thing is we also have nozzle that will in fact freely move, which is fantastic because it did not do that when I was down trying to fire it at the testing range. It meant that this video is a bit later than it should be. I did have to come home, essentially go through this pistol, take it apart, put it back together, just make sure it ran fine. Overall impressions of this, I will just give you a quick aside before we get into the firing test. It's actually quite decent. There's a few comments in my unboxing of it of people that have these, and they've had various issues. Almost all of them end with, oh, it's broken. G18 style pistols do tend to break. It doesn't really matter which one you buy. You can spend 150 quid on a VFC, and you'll be in the hammer assembly replacing things if you use it on full auto too often. These are not the strongest designs. You generally go for a G17 unless you absolutely really want the full auto, and the reason I've got this is because I want full auto capability in my little carbine kits that you saw in my 3D printing episodes. The difference is that if I'm going to be replacing the hammer assembly with a steel assembly from someone, it means that I'm not paying 150 quid to then throw 100 quid's worth of parts in it. I'm paying 70 quid to throw 100 quid's worth of parts in it. So that was my original point of this. So everyone in the comments kind of going, oh, well, it's rubbish and all this sort of stuff. Well, yeah, it is rubbish. Again, if you don't watch the video and ignore what I say, I'm not buying this because it's fantastic out of the box for the same reason that I didn't buy my R17 because it's fantastic out of the box. I bought the R17 and the 18 because they are essentially Tokyo Mirai clone weapons or guns, and they take Tokyo Mirai upgrades, which means that you can put any of the fancy steel hammer assemblies, all the parts. My R17 is an absolute beast of a Glock, and all it's got in it are some very simple upgrades by people like Garda and stuff like that cost like 12 quid a pop. The whole cost of the R17 is still way under £100, and it fires like anything, any expensive Glock you can think of. So with that said, let's move along and get into the firing test for the R18, but do bear in mind this has been tweaked. Okay, let's not go mad, but I'm going to get into the chronograph, and this was actually a really quite good performance from this R18. I fired plenty of shots through the chrono. I was getting good results. This is on 0.25 grams, so this is around 300 FPS, and the spread is 270 down to about 260, which, for considering the number of the shots I fired through the chronograph, is very consistent. I was very happy with how this worked. So 2.5s, hopping a 2.5 is what it was set to. 300 FPS on a 0.2 is pretty much right where you'd expect something like this to be. So yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised. It was actually firing slightly harder yesterday when it didn't work so well, but it's still 300. I got about 310 out of it previous day. But you know, it could be different atmospheric conditions, etc., etc., different temperature. So yeah, a really good showing for the little R18. Now the firing test, I was actually quite shocked with how well this worked. As I say, these army armaments tend not to be that fantastic out of the box, tend to have consistency issues, etc., etc. However, I did do a bit of speaking whilst I was firing. I've got a couple of got the 2 camera setup as per usual, so I'm going to show you the footage that I've got and see what you think. But I'll kind of chat away about what I think isn't going. Essentially, I've got 2 firing tests and then a full auto test. So let's get into that. Okay folks, so you're out with me again after a little bit of a problem the other day. Been through the pistol, gonna make sure she fires well. Just had an excellent performance across the chronograph, nice and consistent, all around 265ish FPS on a 0.25. Now we're going to see if she can actually do a bit of target shooting for us. So I'm going to get my line sights lined up, the combat sights on this R18, and see what she can do. A decent number of rounds there, good lock back. It was walking around a bit as I was firing there, but I can see we've got a good few hits on the bullseye. It's not bad considering it wouldn't even fire properly yesterday. Yeah, got quite a lot of flyers, but we were getting. You can see these where it wasn't really firing right the other day. Haven't really made much of a mark in the old target, whereas these ones have punched a good hole in them. So these are your fresh marks, and we have got a few outside. But I'm going to load it back up again. We'll do another test of this, and then we'll hit it full auto. But I think if you can keep it on point, this is reasonably accurate out of the box actually. Set of rounds. That was very nice. Yeah, she's come good. She's firing nice. Gradually loading the gun a bit more as well, which is always handy. Trying not to let my trigger pull bring it off target, and we were getting out there and doing really quite well on the bullseye. So yeah, happy with that. I'm going to load it up again, and we're going to blat some full auto bursts and see what effect that has on our accuracy. Bad, I would imagine. Back in a sec. Okay, so I'm stood slightly closer now. Going full auto with a fully automatic Glock is always a bit of a fun thing to do. Now I'm a bit closer purely because I don't want it to go hog wild and shoot my phone or, well, anything else in here that I really don't want to shoot, because it does bounce around in your hand when you're firing it. A good grip is the way forward. But let's see how we go. I'm going to do some short control, try and control the bursts. Yeah, so the fire rate is really quite extreme, and I think I've slightly overfilled the mag with gas. I appear to be getting quite a lot of liquid. I can feel the cold coming out the back, but a lot of pistols on full auto are always going to be like that. But it's pretty effective. How many rounds have I got left? 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got about 5 rounds left. I'm just going to blat those off. Whew, and we did actually get a lock back. That's pretty good. Yeah, so good fun. Gives you an idea of what it's capable of. Obviously full auto, the accuracy absolutely goes to shit. But all in all, I've been really quite impressed with this firing test, considering it didn't want to work yesterday. So it's reasonably accurate. Full auto works pretty well. It hasn't broken Did require a bit of fixing out of the box, but yeah, very enjoyable, very enjoyable. Okay, so I mean, you saw what happened there. I'm really quite happy with this. I've got a pin working its way out there. Just see if I can tap that back in with something. There we are, don't worry about that, it's only falling apart. Yeah, I actually really quite enjoyed using this. For a cheap gun, it is good fun. It looks like we're having some reliability issues in the comments. However, I would say, how many of you have actually stripped this thing back and rebuilt it and lubed it all the way through? I had to do that before this was any good. I'm not going to recommend it based on that to anyone who isn't sort of au fait with how pistols work and lubrication, maintenance and all that sort of jazz. However, I would say that really gas blowback pistols shouldn't be used by people who don't know what they're doing. These are little, fairly complex machines, and the G18 is just an added layer of complexity that a lot of people don't want to deal with, especially when they don't work right out of the box. However, for I believe it was 70 quid this, I'm happy with the performance that I got after a little bit of tinkering, and it will be making its way into my carbine kit because it's good enough to use semi-auto, and having the full auto is a real nice touch. I just pray it holds together. One of the things I will pass comment on is these are new style mags. This is essentially your kind of archetypal Army Armament Glock style magazine. However, you'll see the difference compared to the older models. I just hold that up. This is an older, it's got a shinier finish and just generally feels a bit cheaper. And this is the newer style, sort of satin finish, and just generally feels a lot nicer in the hand. I'm not entirely sure if the valves are different. They look fairly similar to me, but all I will say is that this mag's worth about 20 FPS over the old style mag. So mag to mag, this is probably got a heftier output valve, and it does work really well with these. Full auto performance, actually really quite impressive. It's 11 rounds a second on the chrono. I didn't put any footage of that in, mainly because I was too busy trying to hold on to the chrono and the pistol at the same time. But it does bring up 11 rounds a second, which isn't bad for this big metal slide flying backwards and forwards. More than, cycling once every 10th of a second is quite decent. And I didn't have any breakages. It took us a little while to get going, but once we got there, we were pretty good. So it's a bit of a weird one, this. It is cheap. If you don't mind getting arm deep in a pistol and you're not just gonna chuck it the moment it doesn't work, then it might be worth having a look. If you are new to Airsoft and don't have a clue what you're doing, I would stick to a G17 for the minute, just the semi-auto version, and then get one of these further down the line once you're used to maintaining the G17. At 70 quid, there is a lot of money left in the budget to go through this, change out the hop, change the barrel, change the bucking, change pretty much everything you want. You can get aftermarket slides that will fit a TM G18 that will go on this, and you could go absolutely apeshit with it and do all the things you would do to a TM G18 or a VFC G18, and save yourself 70 quid before you start fiddling with it, which is quite a lot of upgrades. That'd be most of the slide internals done for that kind of money. So I've been Ben, it's been a Shots Fired Airsoft video. Thank you very much for being patient and waiting on this, and I hope to see you in the next video. Cheers, bye.